I was born and raised on Long Island, New York, but it never felt like home. I hate clams. I never even had an accent, so when I left at 19, I didn't look back, though I did manage to connect with a few classmates over the years. Daryl is one of my best friends. Jean, Laura, Stacy were all friends that I connected with over the years. So when Jean died suddenly last summer and Laura organized a party on Long Island to say goodbye, of course I was going. I was nervous about it though because there were other people going who didn't know I existed when we were kids. But by the end of the night, Tommy and I are hugging it out, Robbie and I are Facebook friends, and Laura and I are peas in a pod. The next morning, I'm sitting in a restaurant overlooking the bay, having this warm, fuzzy moment about the night before, when it suddenly occurs to me that I'm sitting not too far from where my rapist lives. And that's it. The time has come for me to get the closure I didn't get when I was 14. He groomed me for 2 years before he raped me at 14. He was 22 and a cop. So I paid my bill and I got in the car to drive to his house. Thank you. I strangled the steering wheel as I drove to his house, running the scenarios of what was going to happen when I got there, none of which involved him actually standing at the front door of his house when I pulled up. And yet that's exactly where he was. I panicked and drove off. But by the time I got to the end of the street, my inner 14-year-old was yelling at me to turn around and go back. So I did. I'm now standing at the end of his driveway, and he's walking towards me. I can't feel my legs. And at first, he doesn't recognize me. But when he does recognize me, he invites me to have a seat with him on his front porch. The woman you raped when she was a little girl just showed up at your house and you want to make this a social call? It's strange, but I wasn't thinking straight and I didn't have a plan, so I followed him. For a long time, I've had a bubble around me to protect me from him. It kept a lot of good people out too, but at least I was safe from him. All that therapy and all that trauma healing, and in less than 5 minutes, he has penetrated my bubble because he's sitting less than a foot away from me on the front porch. I'm freaking out, but I remember that I have a message for him. And so I take a deep breath and I start to say, "Do you have any idea what you've done to my entire life?" And before I can finish, he interrupts me. I'm a little pissed off about this, but he's apologizing for what he did. And that's what I came for. This interruption also gives me a chance to really take a look at this person next to me for the first time. When he was 22, he was hot, tall, dark hair, big brown eyes. That is not who's sitting next to me. This guy is bloated. He's clearly uncomfortable in his own body. And his skin has this weird gray tan color like rotten chicken. I can vaguely hear him saying something about a girl after me getting him caught, and he got fired from the police department, and his wife left him and it ruined his life. My turn to interrupt. I was ruined at 14. Sorry. I was ruined at 14. Bad boundaries, bad relationships, failed marriages, no kids. I'm a goddamn poster child for child sex abuse, and you want to talk to me about your life being ruined? I was done. I needed to go. I got up to leave, and he begged me to stay. I'm looking down at this pitiful man. He's crying and he's got snot running down his face. And all I can think is, oh no, you are not committing suicide because of me. You've had my back on the 50-yard line of the high school football field for 35 years. I'll be damned if you're going to spend the rest of my life on my shoulders because of your suicide. I sit back down. He goes on to tell me that he's terrified of me. He's afraid that I'm going to go to the cops or hire a lawyer. He wants to know what I want from him. In all these years that I've fantasized about this moment, I have never once thought about what my rapist could do for me, except for maybe his dick to fall off. So I said the first thing that comes to mind. Do better. Teach your daughter to be afraid of men like you. Teach your son to be a better man than you. And honestly, if you have to spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder, afraid that I'm coming after you to keep you from ever hurting another little girl ever again, I'm okay with that. Now I was really done. Time to go. I stand up to leave again, and he tries to get me to stay again. Not this time. Rob, this isn't about you. This is about me. I said what I needed to say. I got what I needed from this conversation, and now it's time for me to leave. Goodbye. My inner 14-year-old is doing this little happy dance as I turn my back to him. Whatever you do, don't look back, and do not start crying until you get in the car. I made it to the car, and I called my sister. But I wasn't crying. I was on fire. Oh my God, can you believe what I just did? I can't believe what I just did. This is the best day of my life. She convinces me to pull over. And just as I, thanks, Dee. Just as I put the car in park, the tears come. A few weeks later, Daryl texts me, "Hey, there's a dinner on Long Island. You want to go?" Hell yeah, I want to go. I go. I'm sitting around the table with Daryl and Bob, Jennifer, Danae, JC, and I'm having the best time. I'm laughing harder than I've ever laughed on Long Island. And for the first time, Long Island feels like home. And there's no place like it.